Joel?
Hey, Cuonzo, I'll try not to read too much into these scrimmages, but can you just tell me what kind of you've seen from some of the freshmen?
Yeah, I can tell you, but what'd you read? What'd you hear? What'd you see?
Well, I can't. I'm not gonna do all that, but I only read into these scrimmages as much as I read into NBA preseason. It ain't too much, but just I'm curious as to what you've seen from some of the freshmen and kind of how you plan to play them come the season.
Well, I mean, I saw some good things with two quality scrimmages, Oklahoma State, and then you're talking about Creighton. Two different styles. One a physical brand down your back, dribbling, making plays, and one still fast paced, but forward sometimes 5 perimeter shooting, so it really spread you out. And I thought those were great opportunities for guys like Jordan, especially going against bigs that can shoot the ball. But as far as our freshmen, I thought they did good things because they've been in practices and they're very competitive. They play hard. They understand that. And minus the things that you normally do as a freshman, mistake here, mistake there, but the effort is always there. They have the ability to make shots, make plays. But I thought they were very productive and against two quality opponents.
Anthony?
Hey, Cuonzo, obviously you guys added the Paul Quinn college game to the schedule here pretty recently. I was just wondering what the thought process was behind that addition and what you're hoping to see from that game.
Just an opponent that's been trying, we have people trying to get games all the time and scheduling games, and we just felt like an opportunity, having relationships here and there. And let's go ahead and play those guys. But and really giving our guys a chance to play in games, because as you can see, our schedule is a very competitive one. One I think is one of the best in the country. So for our guys, every game, and we talk as coaches, no nights off. There's simply no nights off. And so again, we feel like we can plug in there and give us another opportunity.
Lila?
Hey, Cuonzo, I hope you're doing well. What were the biggest things that you learned about the team in those two scrimmages?
Well, again, really anxious to play them more than I've ever been before, as far as because with so many new guys, the things we saw in practice, you saw the effort, you saw those things in practice, but to actually get in games, see our guys, how hard they play, and be truthful. Starting out against Oklahoma State, it was slow for us because, Oklahoma State pretty much got all the guys returning, physical presence, get after you, shot blockers, guys getting the passing lane. And I thought it was beautiful just to go up against that, especially the first 5 or 10 minutes to go against that so our guys can see what that feels like, especially our younger guys. Guys that have been in college games know what it feels like. You know what Oklahoma State's reputation is. Because what we did with both teams, even with Creighton, we didn't go into the game with a lot of scouting report film. And both programs just wanted to kind of say, let's see if our guys can go out and play and make plays. And I think that's always good when you can go out not having a lot of scouting report film and personnel. So now you rely on what you do in practice in most cases. And I thought our guys made some good plays on both sides of the ball. Thought we were aggressive, getting in the paint, shooting the ball. We didn't shoot as well the second game, but I thought we shot it well the first game. But we got in the paint the second game. We really did a good job of getting in the paint. So a lot of good things. But again, you have multiple guys that can make plays at the rim. You have guys that can shoot the ball on the perimeter. You have multiple guys that can make plays at the rim and get out in transition. That's a good thing. And then we also saw a lot with Kobe at the point. And I thought that was very productive for us as well, because he gets down. He's one of our fastest guys as far as getting downhill and getting in the paint. And he's always been a willing passer. So that part was good too.
Who else, stood out to you in those scrimmages?
I mean, you don't get more efficient, I think, at two scrimmages than Javon from the standpoint of his production. But again, that's a business-like approach. That's battle tested. It's been in big games, so he understands there's a calming presence about a guy like that. It's been in situations like that, but very productive, making decisions. And he had 6 assists and 1 turnover in the second scrimmage. Again, production but he's been in it, so it was just a regular game to him. It was a regular night. But I thought other guys played well. Guys made plays. Jordan is really rebounding the basketball. He's bigger in space, and what we have to do really is try to get him the ball more and scoring positions at the post, because he's improved in that area. And we have to make sure he's a threat around the rim, not just getting rebounds and not just making plays as far as blocking shots and protecting the rim. But we have to get him the ball where he's productive.
Andrew?
Hey, Coach, just overall, where do you think the team is at, with about 2 weeks left until the start of the season?
I think like anybody, we're ready to play. And again, that's I can sit there and use coach speak and say it's one game at a time. We still have work to do. Everybody has work to do. Even when everybody has guys returning, you always have work to do. But I'm ready to play a game, and I think they are too. But again, it was two good signs to play against two quality opponents, different styles, different approaches, and I thought our guys were very productive from start to finish. No scrimmage, and a lot of great footage to go by as you move forward.
Dave?
Hey, Cuonzo, you've always had kind of a traditional big on the floor, whether it's Jeremiah or Reed or even Mitch. This year, could that look different? I mean, could there be times when you don't have, one of your biggest guys out there, and just how different does that make this team?
It certainly makes what it shows. It makes it difficult to defend. You have say you have Kobe or you have a Ryan DeGray, two guys that play on the perimeter, because it makes it hard to defend if they have a traditional big. Now, if they don't, you can impose your will in and around the rim because you have multiple guys that can post up and make plays and force teams to make decisions. But I like those lineups right now. But also, Yaya and Jordan's been productive as centers as well, because Yaya's ability to stretch the defense as far as making three-point shots and his physical presence in and around the rim if there are switches that take place. But again, if you say Kobe's is your point guard and he's considered guarding the center spot, that's tough to go against. It's just we have to have a presence on a consistent basis when we're on the defensive side of the ball, if they have a traditional big that's very productive around the rim.
One other thing, just with so many rosters turning over this year, not just yours, but everybody, is it going to make scouting early in the year a little difficult, or at least for you guys, maybe an advantage because nobody really knows what this team looks like?
I think it'll help you from that standpoint. But on the flip side, if you're not sound defensively, it can hurt you. So, and like I say, we went into both of those games just with so many unknowns. So I thought that was great because we said all the time as a coach and as staff, rely on your defensive principles, because oftentimes on the defensive side of the ball, if you can put the ball on the floor, then the other four guys should know what to be just based on ball you man philosophy. So we spent a lot of time on that. Again, you have very talented teams. Team makes adjustments. Now, in most cases, everybody you play has four guys on the floor that can make a shot, make a play. So you have to rely on your communication. I think we've done a good job with our communication. But yeah, I think from a scouting standpoint, you do what you do best, and really it comes down to really imposing your will. And teams said all the time, you do what you do best and don't get consumed with the opponent. I think oftentimes in scouting we can do that.
Mitchell?
Hey, Cuonzo, I know you mentioned the three-point shooting it, you said, I think, better against Oklahoma State than Creighton. What have you seen from your team in that area so far this year? I know maybe it wasn't necessarily a strength the past couple seasons.
I mean, you work on it. And the thing that we say, something real simple, but you try to be consistent with it. When you say follow through your shot, complete the shot, because I mean that sounds okay. What do you mean? Because they should do that. Shoot the ball, follow through, come down right there, come down, follow through your shot. And I think that's very important. It's small, but it's big. Your mechanics before the catch, shot ready, up, down, not wasted movements with your feet. And I think those are some of the biggest key things. Small, but big, because the follow through your shot, that's the most important shot. When that shot goes, that's the most important shot, because that's the one shot we just took that in that particular moment. We want that shot to go down. And other guys are in position to rebound and get back and do what they do from a defensive standpoint. But it's really shot mechanics is, I think, the biggest key.
And then one other question for you. Do you have a sense yet, I guess, of just how deep into the bench you could go with this team? How many guys could see consistent minutes?
Well, I certainly see 8 without question. Now 9, it depends on the situation, but certainly 8 without question.
Ben?
Cuonzo, with all these new faces, where are you seeing people sort of slot into roles, and what's that process been like?
Oh, it's been good. I think the one thing that when you have multiple guys that can handle the ball, so now you have multiple guys around the rim. So what we focused on the last 2 weeks is one point guard when the ball goes in the basket. I mean, one ball handler, so other guys can get out and run. Because when you have multiple guys that can handle, you have other guys hovering around the rim, waiting on outlets. So get up the floor. I think that's the most important thing. And as far as roles, guys, we talk about guys that have the ability to catch and shoot, guys that have the ability to shoot the ball, make plays off the bounce, and guys that have the ability to post up. So understanding all those things, because you don't want to limit guys when they have strengths. And guys can post up, even if you're a point guard. If you can post up, we'll post you up. We'll make plays off that. Like, for example, Kobe's a guy that can bring the ball to the floor, But really what we spend more time on than actual plays is reading the defense, understanding where we have an advantage. Just because we call a play, well, if Kobe brings the ball up as a point guard and they have a 6-foot guy defending him, then at some point the ball has to go to him to force the other team to make a decision. We're not just running the play just to run it. Let's take advantage of situations every time down. That's really about reading the defense and just making plays. And that part has been fun. But we don't have, outside of Jordan, who's just a traditional big guy. I mean, Yaya can make threes, but Jordan's probably the only guy that says he's in and around the rim. But other than that, we have so many moving parts, and it's tough to defend when we come down in transition. We're trying to figure out who's what, who does what. That's not easy. You're talking about Javon at 6'5", 210, 215 pounds. You got a smaller guy, he's going to bury you in the post and make play because he has a physical presence to him. So we've done a good job of really recognizing. And again, very unselfish guys, very competitive, but very unselfish guys.
Anthony?
Yeah, Cuonzo. So this season marks kind of a decade since, that Mizzou team that was ranked number 3 going into the tournament and really looked at as a potential team that could win the national title. I was wondering what you thought the steps you could take this season to kind of get back to that level.
Oh, well, the goal is to go out and win every game. That's the goal. And we're built to do that. We understand that. So we're not sitting and saying, well, you have 7 or 8 new guys, and let's just take one game at a time. Well, of course you take one game at a time, but you're trying to win basketball games. And that's the most important thing. Now, when it gets to that point, I mean, every game will present whatever it presents. And our goal is to be the best version of ourselves every night. And I think we're working toward that.
Eric?
Hey, Cuonzo, you mentioned a little bit about Jordan already, and I want to ask you a little bit more about him. It's his second year in the program. Can you notice the differences with a guy who's, been around your coaching staff and you before? This is not his first, year. And does he help in those leadership efforts because of that?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan's a good guy to be around. Jordan is very entertaining, very intelligent young man, social guy. So all those things. And even you saw it last year. I think it just, in my opinion, I thought Jordan was somewhat relaxed from the stand. Not that he didn't work, but relaxed from the standpoint. Jeremiah was there. He's older. Jeremiah's going to play. Jeremiah's a good player, and he respected that. And then coming into the season, understanding like, well, I got a chance to be the guy. And everything that goes with that, because he's worked extremely hard, you've seen it, done a great job with his body, works on his game. I think the biggest key, and I continue to say this about him, is just him understanding who he can be. And it's not so much, okay, did I get 8 blocks? Did I get 15 rebounds? I scored 20? It's not that, but it's a production. He's a presence, because when you talk to both teams, we scrimmage again, they come away with like, man, this guy's a presence, because even when he set a ball screen, it's hard to get around. You got to make a decision. Now, when he's rolling downhill at the rim, I don't know too many small guards going to get in there and try to bump him and block him out, get him out of there. I mean, so him understanding his impact in the game it's not necessarily how many points I score, but he has a major impact. Like you see in those scrimmages, 2 guys trying to block him out, somebody else get a rebound. And just if he maintained a relentless approach every time down and be consistent with that, he's a presence, because when he constantly putting his body on, then all of a sudden, Yaya brings a different dynamic. You put Kobe in that position, that's a different player. That's 3 different guys that you're trying to defend that bring something different to the table. But just really him understanding every possession down as fast as you can, as hard as you can go. You need a rest, let's get a blow, get you back in it, because that's 7'3", 300 pounds, and he's not stiff. He can move. He's a mobile guy.
Jay Tipton?
Yeah, Cuonzo, I wondered, there's so many coaches in the SEC that have been around the block and have a lot of accomplishments on their resume. How likely is it in a game for it to be decided because one coach outcoached the other?
I think that's very helpful. Jerry, how did you get in here? But good to hear from you. But no, but just I think that happens. It just, especially down the stretch of games, situation of games. And I think in some cases, they become chess matches from the standpoint what lineups you have on the floor. Because again, if we're in a situation where if we have Kobe as our center out there, or Ronnie DeGray as the center, somebody has to make the adjustment. And I don't necessarily think you, in that case, you got out coached, but you have to make the adjustment. So if it worked for us, then it's a great thing. But it's also, late games, you call a timeout, do you not call a timeout? But some teams practice those situations. When this happened, you don't necessarily want to call a timeout here because I don't want to give the other team a chance to set up their defense because those things you practice. So there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, coaches spend a lot of time, but it also, there's just as much coaching that goes into it. It's probably just as much trust in your teammates and your ball handlers and your decision makers.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Sam?
Hey, Coach. Question on the offense. You and your other assistants have sort of shown an ability to be really adaptive to your personnel offensively. Kind of, trying to play through Jonte, primary ball handlers with Drew and X the last few years, switching to the Barcelona style offense. With Kobe kind of being the primary point guard, you mentioned a few times here, what sort of stylistic changes have you guys had to make with this new personnel?
Not much, and he'll be one of them. He'll be one of them along with Anton and Boogie Coleman. So those definitely three, and then Caleb, Kobe's brother. So those are probably the four guys. If you say in the point guard position, it'll be one of those four guys. But not so much because Kobe understands the Barcelona, and it's just really putting him into position and then having the right guys around him. Because one thing about if he's at that position, then in most cases you want to have at least three guys out there that can make 3-point shots at a high level and ready to shoot them, because he'll force something. Even if he forces a switch where he goes into the post and we play off that, or you might get a switch where we have a perimeter guy and have a 5-man defender, and that perimeter guy still has to make a play. And again, all you're trying to create is an advantage. And it's been fun so far when he's in those situations. Now, he's not like that in the whole game because both situations, he probably one time at the 5, and he's at the 4, and he's at the 1. But it doesn't change for him defensively. His assignments are still the same. And that's the thing about it. But we've spent a lot of time on him since June at handling the ball. And even in years past, we had him in situations trying to bring it up as a point. But I think he's more comfortable with it now. But not a lot of adjustments, Sam.
Good.
Was that me? I didn't hear. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, sorry. Hey, Cuonzo, back on to Yaya. What can you expect from him this year? I mean, you've talked a lot about his 3-point shooting, but where can he help you immediately?
His presence, his toughness, his energy. And I might have mentioned this to you guys maybe in June and July, but for young guys, he and Anton, they do a great job of communicating and their vocal. They have good energy about them. And hopefully they can maintain that as you go through it. But I think he brings that to the table. His energy, his athleticism, though he had an injury, but his athleticism is really starting to come back now. You can see that. And also, he's a guy that he can make a 3. He's also a guy that can shot fake a 3. Now, the adjustment he's making right now is the shot fake, and then when he drives to the basket, the jump stop, because now he's off one leg. Most guys taking charge nowadays, or guys getting in front of you, got to make that next decision. So driving aggressively, jump stop, making the next play. But he has that ability as well. And again, he's really getting better and better, because really his first ball was probably mid-June, early July, from the time he got injured in his high school year, maybe September, October. So now you're starting to see his legs get under him, and he's mobile, he's active, and he's very competitive. He's a tough guy. So, and I like that about him.
Coach, just who would you say is the best scorer on your team this year?
Well, I mean, I think you have guys that have instincts to score, but to say the best scorer, I think Amari has the ability to score the ball. You look at his numbers. Dejuan Gordon Quaye has the ability to score the ball. Boogie Coleman has the ability, the natural, meaning when those guys get the ball every time down, they're looking to score the ball. They have instincts to score. Same way like Anton, though he's a freshman. Anton, I would say he's more of a combo guard because his instincts as a point to score, which are great. Kobe and Javon, they make plays. But I think those 4 guys in a nutshell, every time down, they receive the ball, their mindset is to put the ball in the basket some way, shape, or form, which is good.
And then to follow up on the scrimmages, I don't know if you want to share or not, but could you tell us what the score was of those games? If you, I figured I'd ask.
No, I like that. We should have had exhibition then. But no, I just think out of respect for the teams, I like the way our guys finished up. I would say that. And just because, again, I think both sides got out of what we were trying to get out of it. And, we were able to play some guys. Because I think what happens, you love to play exhibitions, but with the scrimmages, you get a chance to play guys, and they don't have to be guarded while they're playing. You know, just whatever this play, you can play guys. You're not really worried about the scoreboard. Of course, you want to win, but you plan it, and guys you get a chance to see things like for example, one scrimmage, both teams play zone. We had 10 possessions of zone. You know, we don't play a lot of zone, but we put it in. But you get a chance to go against it. Both teams have court situations, so those are the things that you're able to get out of those scrimmages. But it's still, you don't lose the competitive nature at all, because you're still trying to win because it's a scoreboard in the player's head. I'll whisper that to you when I see you, Andrew.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah. Hey, Cuonzo, I heard a couple of the players use this word, and you talked about it too. You said that the players are unselfish. And I don't know if that was an issue last year at all, but when you have players who are unselfish, how does that help in bringing the chemistry of this team along quicker? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, and again, when I speak on this team, I'm never talking about a team in the past unless you ask me a question specifically. Now, I don't think the team last year was selfish. I don't think that at all. But I think what happens with this team here, when I say unselfish, because when you have so many new guys, and that team last year, those guys been around each other, so you understood how to operate with the guys. But I think we have so many new guys on the team. You have a new staff. So there's so many areas where you're trying to adjust and get to know somebody, get a comfort level. And I just think I'm talking about even the guys that score the ball and what's impressive. Like, say for example, Boogie Coleman and Quaye Gordon, two guys that have the ability to score, roommates, and I'm talking about for those guys to be roommates, they get after each other in a great way. And it's like, man, sometimes I say, man, you guys can do that at home, man. We trying to work here, but they really get after each other, but they hold each other accountable, but they also applaud each other when they make plays. And I think they have the ability to say, okay, Kobe, every time down, look to score. Well, some guys, it's hard for them to say that when you feel like I'm trying to be successful. Of course, I want to win as a team, but as an individual player, I found nowadays more than ever, some young players are hard to say to other guys, you're a good player. Let's go every time down. Javon, get him in the post, you got him. That's impressive. And I think they have that ability where if a guy come down 10 times in a row and scored, they say, keep going at him. Well, it's not as if it's my turn to get mine. And I said that's a skill and how they were raised and how they were coached to understand. We can be very successful, but let's understand how we're going to win. And they're okay with other guys having success.
All right, we'll take our last question from Liza.
Earlier this month, you mentioned just how fast of a pace you want this team to play at. How would you evaluate kind of how they played on the, in transition, on the fast break in those scrimmages, and how the team has progressed in that area?
Oh, good. They've done a good job of getting the ball out. Very similar to last year's team, getting the ball out and getting up the floor and making plays and moving the ball. The one area where I think we're trying to grow with this team, because again, you have multiple ball handlers, but I think the one area, if you compare it to last year's team with the pace, is I thought Jeremiah and Mitch, in most cases, sprinted the floor at an elite level. And when you sprint the floor like that, it gave other guys opportunities. Though Jeremiah and Mitch probably didn't get the credit for the basket going in, somebody else did. But their ability to sprint to the rim and put pressure on the defense caused other guys to have opportunities. And that's the area with Jordan. And Jordan a little bit different. And Yaya, we're trying to get for those guys sprinting, because the impact of sprinting, you might not get the basket, but somebody else get it. Now, when they take away that perimeter, now you get the opportunities. And you see a lot of that, more so with Yaya than Jordan, because Jordan has to get down the floor. It takes time, especially rebounding other things. And you really see it when Kobe and Ronnie did great, when those are your perimeter bigs with other big guys that they can really move and make plays.
All right, that's it. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.